Well, the RBA Governor Philip Lowe surprised the Senate committee, revealing his solution to the nation's rental crisis for more people to move back in with mum and dad or even friends. Joining us live now, Shadow Home Affairs and Cybersecurity Minister James Patterson. James, good to see you. Thanks for your time this morning. What do you make of those comments from Philip Lowe yesterday? Do you agree with them? I mean, some people have said it was clumsy language, it was tone deaf. How do you reflect on what he's had to say?
Good morning, Pete. Look, I have to say I think people are being a bit unfair. Actually, the substance of his evidence to the committee yesterday was supply is the best solution for the housing affordability crisis that we have, and the best thing we can do is build more homes for more people, and therefore that will help solve the problem. What he did also acknowledge is that that's a slow response, that you can't build homes overnight, that it takes time and resources and people to do that. And so he's just recognising that the falling rate of people occupying homes or the lower number of people occupying homes is putting pressure on the market.
I got to agree with you, actually, because, I mean, folks have been doing this for a long time. You know, it's a sad state of affairs, I know, for those who aren't lucky enough to have a home. But, you know, if the young folks can't afford a home, they just stay with their parents for longer.
And look, that's not what we should want for our country in the medium or the long term. We should aspire to be a country where everyone can have a home of their own, where they can buy a home of their own. And there's a whole range of policy issues that we have to tackle to do that. And it is a terrible thing that many young people can't afford a home. So, you know, really, it's not an excuse for governments, state and federal. We have to get together and solve this problem. So
much attention, James, now on the Fair Work Commission decision tomorrow on minimum wage. Wesfarmers has already said this week that if you go too high, it's going to lead to job losses and underinvestment. We just had Warren Hogan on the program saying that if it goes too high, it could lead to even more rate rises. I mean, it's all fairly grim. Are you worried about all of that if the Commission goes too high tomorrow?
Well, we've always respected the Fair Work Commission as the independent umpire that sets wages, and we've always accepted the decisions that they've made when we've been in government. They will have to be mindful of the fact that inflation is out of control in this economy and that this government has no plan to deal with that and is, in fact, making the problem worse with all of the extra spending that they're adding to the economy. What that means is that the Reserve Bank has to increase rates higher and for longer than they would otherwise have to if fiscal policy and monetary policy were working in tandem and in conjunction to take the pressure off the economy. When inflation is still running at well over 6%, one of the highest rates of G7 economies, we've got a very serious crisis on our hands, and Australians are feeling it every day.
OK, let's get to tech, James. You want to propose the creation of a new office to assess security risks in government-used tech. How would that work?
Well, Pete, there's now 3 instances where I have called out a piece of high-risk technology from an authoritarian country, TikTok, the application, DJI drones and Hikvision cameras that have been widely prevalent in the federal government. And after I've called it out, they've all been removed. That's a good thing that the government has acted after I've called it out, but it's far too reactive. We have to get ahead of these risks. We have to anticipate them and assess them before they come. And hopefully before some procurement officer buys hundreds of units or thousands of units of it and deploys it across the government. So I think there needs to be a new office within the Department of Home Affairs and Cybersecurity that assesses these risks, that is able to anticipate them and prevents us from buying these things in the first place rather than ripping them out after an opposition senator submits questions on notice.
OK, and just one more on tech, by the way. Ed Husick, he's about to come up in the program. He wants to regulate artificial intelligence. Is that something that you would support? Or regulate it more, I should say. There's already some measures in place.
Look, I welcome the focus that the government is putting on this issue. It's an enormously consequential emerging issue for our economy and society. There's enormous potential benefits of AI for productivity, but there's really great risks as well. I'm particularly concerned about the implications for cybersecurity and disinformation in our democracy. Frankly, you just can't trust what your eyes see anymore with generative AI, particularly the images and video and audio that it's able to produce, which looks incredibly realistic. And both platforms and governments have to step up and take responsibility, because otherwise we will be living in a world where you can't trust the information that you receive, and that has profound consequences for all of us.
James Patterson, good to see you. We'll chat to you soon.
Thanks, Pete.
Overseas now.